tonight. He was the world's most eligible bachelor until Prince Harry fell in love with an American actress.
Harry's never done anything by the book.
She is redefining what it means to be a princess.
It's a moment of fresh air.
But now that she's princess, what's Meghan's royal life really like? I'm Alistair Bruce, an officer of arms to the Queen, which has given me a privileged view of Prince Harry's upbringing. Now his wife is expecting a baby. How exciting! So can this couple really modernise the 1,000-year-old monarchy?
The dinner party conversation is about to change at the palace.
Bring it on. Join us for a look inside Meghan's new life, the real Princess Diaries.
Congratulations from all of us. How are you both feeling?
Meghan personified the American dream before she even met Prince Harry.
And tell us, how did you propose?
That is now just magnified on the world stage.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't it just seem like a plot right out of a movie? Like, glamorous actress meets handsome prince.
Regular person can be a princess if you're impossibly beautiful. And humanitarian and clearly a superstar. I mean, who really thinks they can actually marry a prince? Meghan Markle has done that.
There's the car. She's leaving Clifton House right now.
We've been fed this story of the royal family for decades, perhaps centuries. We're supposed to care what happens to this really rich people in England. Well, finally, a black girl gets to be part of the fantasy.
But she's going to have to find a way to be herself and yet be part of an institution that's been going on for 1,000 years and which has survived when so many others didn't because it constantly reinvents itself. And Meghan is a part of that reinvention.
She's a self-made feminist. Not sure any of us ever really expected to see that, although it's high time that that happened.
Just by being mixed race, American, actress, divorced, you know, these are all really unconventional terms when it comes to talking about the wife of a prince in the UK.
The bride has arrived.
It was, in a word, really magical.
People were just excited to see that Harry was getting his happy ending.
I just felt like there was lots of symbolism in this wedding ceremony that both of them probably wanted to embrace.
There was the choir.
So darling, darling, stand by me.
Well, there were some old slaves in America's antebellum South.
Those royals, they have never seen a black bishop in Windsor Chapel talking about slavery. They didn't know what had hit them.
I think because Britain hadn't seen quite so much of that celebration of different cultural intensities, it was a really refreshing thing to see happening in the firmament of the royal story.
And the fact that the Queen was there meant she was okay with all of it. And so if the Queen's okay with it, everyone else should be okay with it.
I think the Queen has come full circle and embraced the new generation, but I know that the Duchess of Sussex hopefully will not bring any scandal to the firm. The firm, this is what they call the family, the firm, the Buckingham Palace.
People often laugh when we say that Meghan has joined the firm, but people forget that yes, the royal family is a family, but first and foremost, it is in the business of running the monarchy.
Interestingly, within a month of getting married, the Queen took Meghan on the royal train, girls' trip.
The royal train is, not many people have ever been on it.
Your Majesty, thank you so much for coming back to Sussex.
And you sit down and have kippers or whatever with the Queen, and she's probably the most famous woman on the planet.
Kate didn't do a solo trip with the Queen for a year. The Queen is incredibly smart. The Queen sees Meghan as a very, almost say, useful tool in securing and symbolising the future of the monarchy for decades to come. There are very strict rules when you're a Royal Highness and you're a full-on working royal. I think as an outsider, especially as an American, it's got to be incredibly hard.
I think there's a temptation to look at an American girl marrying into the British royal family and thinking, gosh, her life's going to be palaces and yachts.
Oh, it looks so wonderful. They're dripping in jewels. They get to wear fancy tiaras.
But you know, it's not about her.
You can't have social media accounts. You can't take selfies.
You can't work. You can't take money.
I mean, and she just married in like 10 minutes ago. Like, she's got to be cool for a while. I don't think she's going to be hosting Black Lives Matter at the castle anytime soon.
She is going to be one of the most photographed women in the world. And that level of attention must be pretty stressful, actually.
Nobody can really describe to you what 76 engagements over 16 days when you're utterly jet-lagged is going to feel like.
You arrive in a car, the door is opened, and then you meet the Lord Lieutenant, and then introduced to the head of this, the head of that, the head of something else.
You have to spend most of the day saying the same thing over and over again. Like, have you come far? How did you get here? Thank you so much.
That engagement could be at 10 o'clock at night. It could be at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Then you go round the factory, you meet everybody in the factory, you then unveil a plaque. You then get into the car, you go 50 yards down the road, there's another person to greet you. It sounds fantastic. The Duchess of Sussex, the Countess of Dumbarton, and Baroness Kilkeel. Well, you know, in the end, it's graft.
The biggest adjustment that Meghan has had to make in these 6 months is learning the difference between walking down the red carpet as an actress and a celebrity and walking down the red carpet as a member of the royal family.
You can never assume you're alone. Every time you open a newspaper, someone's being horrible about you. Everyone on social media has an opinion. Your life is no longer your own.
She has been criticised for the way she's had her legs when she sat next to the Queen, her hair, her hairstyles, how long her dresses have been. She has been raised eyebrows because she closed her own door of her own limousine. But that's weird because that's not what royals do. Good on her. I hope she keeps shutting her doors.
Still ahead, the royal baby bump.
I think there's going to be a huge spotlight on this kid.
And growing up royal in Kensington Palace. What must that be like?
The primary function of a royal wife is the delivery of an heir and a spare as quickly as possible.
We also generally couldn't think of a better place to announce the upcoming baby.
Duchess Meghan is expecting a child.
Congratulations.
You can't give flowers that big to my wife.
The fact that they were able to get pregnant so quickly is the icing on the cake of this whirlwind romance.
I think when we saw Meghan at Princess Eugenie's wedding wearing that coat, we all thought, okay.
Having a royal baby is a big deal, and we can definitely expect to see in the run-up to this baby being born, every time Meghan appears, there will be a lot of bump watch, there'll be a lot of discussion about her maternity fashion.
Oh, baby Sussex is everything. I hope it's a girl, I do. I'm biased.
I think we're all expecting this baby to be incredibly cute, with his or her mother's fantastic looks and dad's impish sense of fun.
There is excitement and interest in the fact that this baby will be the first biracial baby that is born into the royal family. This is a family that for centuries has been made up predominantly of white Europeans.
The thing that every woman of colour is, oh my goodness, is the baby going to have curly hair? Of course, priorities.
People are waiting to see, is this going to be a brown-haired little baby?
So here you have this child who has ancestors that are British royalty and African-American slaves. How powerful.
I feel so proud to live in a city that can have so much diversity. I felt so immediately embraced.
Kate will be a great resource to Meghan in kind of how do you handle being pregnant and being a new mom in this incredibly public, strange way.
It's a boy! It's a boy! It's a boy!
It's now become tradition for royal wives to arrive pretty soon after the birth on the steps of the hospital and stand there in front of the world's media presenting their baby to the world.
I was outside the hospital when Kate had her children, and I think everyone was blown away when Kate came out looking so perfect. And she had her hair done and she had her high heels on.
I mean, even showing up 4 hours after delivering with the perfect makeup, presenting the babies to the world.
Any parents, I think, will probably sort of know what this feeling feels like. So.
Very special. It's got her looks, thankfully.
No.
What they were doing, without even saying a word, spoke volumes. First of all, we saw Kate's baby bump. That's how women look once they've just given birth. They don't immediately just snap back into shape.
We had this lovely moment with the Duke of Cambridge coming out with Prince George in the car seat, doing the classic dad manoeuvre of trying to get it into the car as smoothly as possible in front of the world's cameras.
It was very much a message of, we are going to be hands-on parents.
Meghan and Harry want to be really hands-on parents.
So I think that's Harry and Meghan clearly thinking, how can we give this child a life where it doesn't automatically have its life mapped out for it? Harry has spoken very much about how he appreciated his mother Diana trying to give him as normal a life as possible. He wants to do the same for his child, and so does Meghan.
Diana was very much the first real visibly hands-on royal mother. The fact that she breastfed them, the fact that William was immediately being taken on official trip to Australia when he was very young. The Queen notoriously had to leave her kids at home when she was doing that in the 50s.
Often in royal households, parenting is outsourced. But for Diana, for her, being a mother was the most important thing in her life, and her children really were able to feel that.
Our children deserve as much love and care and attention as I am able to give.
Harry's talked a lot about the fact that his mother was so much fun to be with. You know, we've seen so many beautiful images of her really letting them live out all their childhood dreams.
She wanted to make sure that Harry and William understood what life was like outside palace walls.
I think she would be over the moon, jumping up and down, you know, so excited for me. But then, as I said, would have probably been best friends with Meghan.
There has been a lot of talk that Doria Ragland might move to London to be closer to her daughter.
I love the idea of Ms. Ragland in the palace. Come on over, teach them all yoga. She's a yoga instructor. I would love to see her leading Prince Charles in some downward dog.
When the boys were very young, they all lived together at Kensington Palace with their mother.
Although it's a palace, it's made up of lots of smaller properties, but there are plenty of gardens, there are walled gardens and areas where the children can play.
Kensington Palace is really one of the nicest palaces to be at. This is the regal Melrose Place, because Eugenie and Jack are living there now, Harry and Meghan, William and Kate.
At the moment, Harry and Meghan are based in Nottingham Cottage, which is a 2-bedroom property.
It sounds very dramatic, but actually it's a tiny, weeny little cottage.
Harry has spoken before about the fact that it has very low ceilings and he bashes his head. So we definitely expect them to move into a larger apartment.
When I say apartments loosely, we're talking like 31-room apartments, 4-story apartments.
The one that everyone is talking about is apartment 1, which is right next to William and Kate's apartment 1A.
There's even an interconnecting door between apartment 1 and apartment 1A, so they really are living on top of each other in the nicest, poshest, most ridiculous royal way.
And that will be fantastic for their son or daughter to be able to grow up very close to Prince George and Prince Louis and Princess Charlotte. Giving their children freedom away from the confines of palace life is going to be key.
London brings with it all the burdens of royal living. There's members of the public taking photographs on their cell phones. There's paparazzi loitering.
And one of the things that they have been so adamant about is that they and their families will not be subjected to media scrutiny.
Because this is going to be a child that is biracial, I think there's going to be a huge spotlight on this kid.
So I think Harry's going to be the ultimate grizzly bear when it comes to taking care of his family. How could he not be when he, at the age of 12, had already witnessed for his whole life his mother being chased by the paparazzi? He'd witnessed her crying because of something that had been written in the newspaper about her. He knew that William had passed tissues under the bathroom door because Diana was upset. At the moment, Harry and Meghan are saying that they don't want a title for their baby.
So as a result, this baby is unlikely to ever have his or her Royal Highness Prince or Princess title, and they will be expected to work for a living.
There's no chance that this baby will ever be king or queen. This baby has so much more freedom than William and Kate's children do, and this baby will not be expected when they get older to carry out full-time royal duties. They can really carve their own path, and I think Harry and Meghan will be really excited about that.
Next, are Kate and Meghan really friends? And is Meghan changing royal style?
When you look at the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, there is an enormous electricity between them.
If ever there was a fairy tale, it's those two. I mean, the love just exudes.
I feel like you're watching a very private interaction on a public stage.
Every time they're out, they're holding hands, he's touching the small of her back, they're laughing and smiling together. And I think that's what makes them so endearing.
Meghan and Harry are so open in their affection for each other, and we haven't seen that with our royal family, really.
The Queen had a tradition of never, ever shaking hands with people in crowds. The Queen's view is if you don't touch anybody, then everyone's content, really. And I don't think anyone would dare try and reach out and get her hand. But hey, you know, it's a modern generation, and that's the way they connect. It's a much more touchy-feely world. That's the world of Harry and Meghan.
Harry's always been sort of the royal hugger-in-chief.
Harry is like the golden retriever of royals. Everybody loves him. He is this warm, fuzzy presence.
For me, they've become the Duke and Duchess of Cuddles.
You want to hate them, but it's too cute, so you love it.
Harry and Meghan have sparkle and glamour and Hollywood-style appeal, which clearly is going to make the royal family feel a bit more up-to-date.
I think we'll never forget Meghan Markle's official entrance to the scene, which was at the Invictus Games. She wore an oversized white button-down shirt and ripped jeans. I'll never get over that as long as I live, and I'm so excited about it. She wore ripped jeans.
Do you remember the white coat she wore for the engagement photograph? No other member of the royal family would ever wear that. That was a very Californian choice.
It's modern, it's funky, it's young, it's sexy.
We want to feel that the monarchy is working very hard on behalf of the country, but we also want to be entertained. We want beautiful pictures of beautiful princesses smiling.
Fashion. It's very important in the life of a royal.
Londoners cheer their gracious and vibrant queen, wearing a gold brocade dress and diamond and pearl tiara.
Queen Elizabeth has her own personal designers. Clothes are selected. Clothes are vetted. Colors are studied. Queen Elizabeth must wear bright colors so she can be seen from afar. Oh, everyone loved Diana. Princess of Wales was fabulous. All the designers loved her. The late Gianni Versace loved her. Karl Lagerfeld loved her. Oh, and she was so accessible to the world of fashion.
When Diana came into the royal family, she was a breath of fresh air. Then Kate was a breath of fresh air.
Kate Middleton, the Duchess of Cambridge, is worth about $1.4 billion a year to the British fashion industry.
When Kate wears something, it sells out instantly. Now we have the Meghan effect.
I think the Meghan effect is even bigger than the Kate effect.
What Princess Diana was to the world of fashion and style, the Duchess of Sussex is today.
She wore Givenchy on her wedding day.
Remember, Givenchy made the clothes for Audrey Hepburn, the little black dress and breakfast at Tiffany's. There were rumors that she was going to wear sparkles and spangles and beads and be very flashy and trashy. That was all just, fake news.
It was very simple, which I was surprised by because, I don't know, I think I would go full princess in that moment.
I mean, it's almost like a designer endorsement.
Now, Meghan arguably is the biggest fashion influencer in the world.
People are going to go into Oscar de la Renta on Madison and say, I want that dress that the Duchess of Sussex wore in Australia. They're going to go into Bergdorf with Neiman Marcus. I want that shirtwaist dress, buttoned up to the collar, long sleeves.
I know that some people have complained she's wearing too much black or too many neutral colours, but it works for her, and it means that the focus isn't always on what she's wearing, but what she's doing and saying as well.
There was a brief moment immediately after the wedding. She wore basically the same outfit over and over again, a lot of blush suits that were very stiff and sort of 90s looking with pantyhose. And I freaked out and I was like, oh gosh, what have they done to her? Is she still her? But then I think that was a conscious choice, and she is sort of telling a story about, I am a royal now.
Well, you can see that she's sort of buttoning it up just a little bit. But on the other hand, she seems to be flowy and different. So if anything, maybe she is adhering to tradition with her own sense of flair.
What she brings is Hollywood glamour that has a purpose. I think the things that she has to be careful of is obviously she has a lot of showbiz friends, and I love that, I'm all for it. If she's seen as somebody that only associates with celebrities, that's not the kind of message that you want to be sending. I think she really needs to make herself, much like what Princess Diana was, which is the princess of the people.
There has been speculation if kind of the Markle sparkle, as it's called, is lighting a fire in Kate.
Yes, perhaps she is upping her game a little bit because suddenly there is a little bit of competition, but I don't think Kate sees it as competition.
Working together as family, do you ever have disagreements about things?
Oh, yes. Working as family does have its challenges, of course it does. Everybody here, the fact that everyone's laughing means that everybody knows exactly what it's like.
The photographers used to complain that Kate would get out of the car and she wouldn't look at them. She wouldn't give them the picture. Kate is now looking at the cameras. She's smiling. Is that because of Meghan? I don't know. But we're certainly seeing Kate's confidence grow.
At the end of the day, Meghan is a performer.
She knows how to act in front of the camera. She's always got the perfect smile. She knows how to look really interested when she's bored to tears.
If anything, Kate is a little bit more of a homebody, and she's more happy to sort of let Meghan Markle take some of the spotlight and the scrutiny off of her.
Meghan and Kate have unique experience because they've basically married the two most eligible bachelors in the world.
And tell us, how did you propose?
And they're going to be living in the goldfish bowl of royal life for the rest of their lives.
Kate is the only person that Meghan can turn to who really understands what it's like being married as a young woman into this bizarre, crazy family.
Everything points to them getting on well, definitely.
If Harry and Meghan had a big bust-up and a big row, well, Meghan can't just nip down the road and have a glass of Chardonnay with her workmates. I wouldn't mind betting you she's straight round to Kate's, open a bottle of wine and just rant about the royal princes together.
But stay with us, because families are complicated.
One of the reasons we are all interested in the royal family is that they are relatable because they are often going through the same issues that we all go through. The royal family modernises but is never modern, but it does sometimes have these figures that come in and transform it, and Meghan very much is a transformative figure.
She was the first royal fiancée to attend Sandringham at Christmas. Historically, it's only been when people married into the royal family that they were able to have Christmas with the Queen. It really shows how much we have moved on as a society that Harry was able to fall in love and marry a divorcee. Harry's marriage to Meghan, definitely historical, particularly because, of course, we have that situation where King Edward VIII had to abdicate.
The Queen's uncle had to give up being king because he was in love with an American divorcee, Wallis Simpson.
Back then, you could not be an American, and plus on top of it, an American divorcee, and marry into the royal family. They weren't going to have it. They were not having it.
As a result, his younger brother, George, ended up on the throne, and his daughter, Princess Elizabeth, became heir apparent. She is our current queen.
I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and to the service of our great imperial family to which we all belong.
People didn't tolerate, and the church wouldn't permit, divorced people to get married, and the Queen's own sister faced that again.
Princess Margaret, the Queen's sister, fell in love with a divorcee and was prevented from marrying him because it would have been such a scandal.
The Queen was the head of the Church of England. She couldn't allow a marriage like that to go through.
To say to your sister, I know you're in love, I know he makes you happy, but because he's divorced, you cannot marry. Just imagine doing that to any sibling.
I had a long time to think about it, because I knew the pressure was on both of us. And it wasn't a difficult decision in the end. It's what I wanted, it's what I want.
Diana was a very naive 19, 20-year-old. She didn't really understand what was going on. I'm sure that Prince Charles didn't want to marry Diana. He felt kind of boxed in by his father, by the media.
Wilt thou love her? I think you wouldn't have had to have had a crystal ball to say, this might be a bit of a problem.
The United Kingdom expected Prince Charles to marry a virgin. Well, I mean, who's worrying about that sort of thing now? Well, it was a very real concern for those who thought monarchy needed to be better than everybody else. And I think it put enormous pressure on a young man at that time.
At the end of this year, when I've completed my diary of official engagements, I will be reducing the extent of the public life I've led so far.
3 of the Queen's children separated and divorced in 1992, 3 out of 4 of them. And the Queen, as the head of the family, was held responsible.
I sometimes wonder how future generations will judge the events of this tumultuous year. I am quite sure that most people try to do their best, to do their jobs as best they can, even if the result is not always entirely successful.
You could see that Harry, over the years, had a hard time trying to find his way, and he was kind of the wild child, the untamed child.
When details of Meghan emerged, I think most of us in the royal core, if you like, were thinking she's, no offence, American. She is a famous actress. She's a divorcee. What on earth's Harry doing? Then the penny drops. Harry's never done anything by the book.
He's just broken the mould, and that's a fantastic thing. The fact that he's chosen this absolute kind of megastar, she's got everything she needs to kind of really pop on the world stage. That's the most brilliant thing he could ever have done.
Yeah, actress. Yeah, that's good. That works.
When the king is in residence, hundreds of people come to watch the ceremony of the changing of the guard, because pomp and spectacle still attract the curious and the idle.
Wallis Simpson and Princess Margaret must be rolling in their graves, but from sheer joy, because suddenly they're saying it doesn't matter anymore.
When they've tried to put their foot down and said, find a virgin, a Protestant, an Anglo-Saxon aristocrat, it's been a disaster.
I think that is Diana's lasting legacy, that she raised 2 sons that were open-minded enough to marry whoever they wanted to marry.
There's a famous quote about, for everything to stay the same, everything must change.
The Queen was 25 when she became the monarch, and that was in 1952. And she's changed remarkably.
I salute her for being able to move with the times, because I think a lot of 92-year-olds stopped changing their minds somewhere in their 60s.
When it comes to Harry and Meghan's marriage, I think her main concern is that Harry is happy, the marriage is stable.
Yes, she's the queen, yes, she's the head of state, but she's also a grandmother and she wants her family to be happy.
Coming up, Prince Harry and Meghan on tour. Keeping it real, but keeping it royal.
Meghan's role now is, of course, in partnership with her husband to create a bond and a relationship that works for them. But in particular, beyond that, it's to serve Prince Harry in his delivery of support to the Queen as head of state.
I think the perception of Harry and Meghan around the world is that they're a couple who are keen to make a change globally.
But she's got to find the right way of doing it that means something to her. And as long as there's nothing to do with politics there, the British will support her.
Women don't need to find a voice. They have a voice. They need to feel empowered to use it.
Often we don't know a lot about what members of the royal family think because they try very hard to keep their personal opinions to themselves. However, with Meghan, because she had all these years where she had no idea that she was going to become a royal, we know a lot about what she thinks because she's written about it, she's spoken about it, she's been on television talking about it.
Yes, of course Trump is divisive. Think about just female voters alone.
I mean, she was a very, very savvy, outspoken young woman, a real feminist.
Women need a seat at the table, and in some cases where this isn't available, well then you know what? Then they need to create their own table.
And now she is in this world where she's got to pull that back a little bit.
You're not supposed to become involved in politics if you're a member of the royal family. So she's going to be walking a fine line for the rest of her life in a goldfish bowl.
Meghan's big test, her big test in the 6 months was the big first overseas royal tour with her new husband to meet the people of the Commonwealth.
You can see hundreds, if not thousands of people have turned out. We've been seeing this everywhere this couple go. Everyone wants to see them.
Harry and Meghan had a rock star welcome wherever they went. There was chanting, there was screaming.
It was massive. It was box office.
When they got off the plane at each stop on their tour, they walked down the steps side by side. Harry has been very clear that Meghan, she might be the one that married into the royal family, but he's made sure she's an equal member of the royal family. She's not walking along behind her husband.
When Harry and Meghan went to a rural area in Australia,
Meghan arrived with banana bread that she had baked just the night before.
Even though it was the second day of this massive tour and she was pregnant.
They're a bit taken aback because it's the Duke and Duchess of Sussex at their door. But her response was, I was raised to never go to someone's house without bringing a gift.
Women's suffrage is about feminism, but feminism is about fairness.
To hear a member of the royal family talking about feminism and giving speeches on it is quite punchy.
And when she gave one of her first speeches in Fiji, she had notes with her that had all had handwritten scribbles on before she went up. And I asked a palisade, has she written this herself? Because that's quite unusual for the royals. There's usually other people. And they said this was all her. She's been up for days working on this speech.
It was through scholarships, financial aid programs, and work study that I was able to attend university.
I don't think anyone in the royal family has ever had to worry about paying a university bill.
In these times, and for this family, it is pushing the envelope to give speeches on feminism. And it's certainly something that the Queen does not do, nor does Kate Middleton do. Meghan is the feminist princess of our dreams. And for Americans, we sort of take pride in that because we say, look, there's our American girl over there shaking up the monarchy.
There's something in the American character which is very different from the British. They're much more open, affectionate and bubbly in the way that they deal with the public. My goodness me, that's what the royal family needs.
Meghan has that human touch that Diana was so famous for.
There is actually a lot of Diana's qualities I think Meghan has as well. And one of those is very much that she is very open, she leads with the heart.
Princess Diana had a real sense of compassion. It's almost like Diana's legacy continues.
It isn't enough to simply talk about equality. One must believe in it.
It's always been my concern to touch people with leprosy, trying to show in a simple action that they are not reviled, nor are we repulsed.
Diana did so much as just sort of an activist, a humanitarian. I mean, mind-blowing to see her walk through a minefield.
HIV does not make people dangerous to know, so you can shake their hands and give them a hug.
Her brilliance at reaching out and touching people who were dealing with HIV and AIDS was a remarkable expression of, quite frankly, what everyone in this country needed to get over, which was a hideous prejudice at a time of worldwide challenge and the need for change.
Meghan has just begun her steps down that road. I mean, what Diana offered was so much greater than just being a royal. It's like she took that and she said, okay, I'm gonna use this and the spotlight this gives me to actually make a difference in the world. Is Meghan going to show that kind of courage? I have no idea. It'd be great if she would, but you know, it remains to be seen.
Next up, modernising the monarchy.
She's the woke princess. The dinner party conversation is about to change at the palace.
The world looks at the monarchy for hope. There's hope in the Duchess of Sussex and Harry. There's hope for the beautiful child that she will have. There's hope. There is civility, something we are lacking in today's world in America.
I'm Meghan. It's so good to meet you, Haley.
They connect with the public in a way that the rest of the royal family has never been able to do.
And I think they probably do, as a couple, represent something really exciting about cultural change in the United Kingdom.
Meghan is not going to conform to royal norms. I think she's going to force the royal family to embrace her cultural roots.
She can speak to all those who perhaps always saw British royalty as a very distant racial concern to them.
And woke, as the kids say. She's the woke princess. The dinner party conversation is about to change at the palace. It really is.
And now we have people who aren't even that interested in the royal family. They're there for Meghan because she either represents something that they're passionate about or she represents them.
I'm not quite sure how she wants to go forward in embracing herself as a princess or a duchess of color. That kind of remains to be seen.
I think we have to be very careful about, talking about her mixed race heritage in sort of claiming that it's doing huge amounts of race relations in the UK and around the world. I don't think it's as simple as that.
It doesn't mean that we are suddenly in a post-racial world. Harry made a great choice, good for him, but that doesn't mean that the world has suddenly solved its racial problems.
But there's no doubt that it projects a much more relevant image of the royal family than perhaps we've seen before. Harry and Meghan are global stars of the royal family at the moment, but Harry in particular is very, very aware of how quickly that can fade. In a matter of years, people will be much more interested in what Prince George is doing, and what Princess Charlotte's doing.
The concentration of monarchy is always on the main line, and it's the Cambridges who will be the story. Their children will have grown up, have love affairs of their own, marry, have children of their own, and the Duke and Duchess of Sussex will become less and less relevant.
Because of that, they will try and pack in as much as they can in the next couple of years when it comes to championing the work that they want to do.
And I hope she changes things, because her energy and her freshness will help improve the brand and its delivery of support to the Queen.
It's already becoming clear that Meghan's exactly what not only Harry needed, not only what the royal family needed, but what the British public needed and longed for as well.
I think the wonderful thing about Meghan is she's pushing it as far as she can go, and I'm interested to see how much further she will take it as she settles in even more.
And so, if she is an iconoclast, bring it on, because actually throughout history, people who've come into the royal family have all of them in their own way brought a style, a way that has worked for their time, has challenged the past, but has probably been the very foundation for new traditions.